Oh, we're live.
Ah, it's loading.
Okay. Oh, we're live.
Yes.
Ah, it's loading. Okay.
All right. So I'm just putting it on mute so that there's no echo. We don't hear double things. This is good to see. Good to know. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. There's comment options on the bottom when there's a live. Feel free to, give us comments, ask us any question. And meanwhile, we will explain to you about this Q&A session today. We always like to start with reviewing our project, and then we're going right into it. So remember to keep your phone on the silent. And here we go. Hi, Hema. How are you today?
Hey, Martha. Yeah, I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. This is one of my first lives for UR Toastmasters on Zoom. It's very
Oh, well,
exciting.
mine.
Yeah, so high five.
Bye.
We can do this.
Yeah, we can do this. Yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna just keep it casual, and we're gonna actually have some
Fun.
experience because next time we can see how much better we have been excelling. And just a reminder of our mission of our Toastmaster Club is to provide a mutually supportive environment learning in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. So this
Yeah.
project I'm going to share on my screen, and let me know when it works. I'm just going back and forth checking the chat. And Hema, if you see anyone chatting or just asking a question, just let me know. Perfect.
Here, Martha.
So a little bit introduction. My name is Marta Koshmider. I'm the current president of UR Toastmasters in Regina, Saskatchewan. And Hema is one of our new members. She's very eager to learn and be a part of our program, which is very inspiring to me since I've seen so many, people going in and out, and it depending on, the involvement. It's good to see the variety, right?
Yeah.
And it's inspiring for either a new or sort of a seasoned member. And today we will just practice our Q&A session. And would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Just name and maybe how did you find Toastmasters and how do you find it so far?
Yeah, sure, Martha. Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. Hello, Toastmasters. My name is Hema, and I joined Toastmasters in October 2020, actually. Yeah, I got to know this from my friend, actually, who's also a Toastmasters member of this club. Well, I find pretty interesting as the growth of her knowledge and the communication skills that she is acquiring that made me really into the Toastmasters Club, so that I can, learn a lot, be a part of this. Well, after joining, I felt it's kind of like a family. Yeah, I really got close to the club and club members too. It's all thanks to you guys for making me feel comfortable. Well, so far I think I'm learning a lot and pretty much being active rather than before. I still can um, make myself innovative, like we, who's the VP of our club, who invent a lot of innovative things to learn, how to learn and all. And Pratiksha, who helped me, in every field, which makes me learn a lot of things. And Martha, you, you are one of my favorite member in the club, actually. Yeah, you made me, more more into this club. Actually, you made me more into this as a family. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, of course. It's so sweet to have you. And like I said, it's bounces back to me. So I really appreciate that you appreciate this and you're so comfortable doing this. So that's always, it's fun, to have someone like an accountability partner. And we have so many mentors, sometimes directly and indirectly in the club. So that's always nice to have that community there. And I will go into the screen sharing now to sort of show one of our projects that is in one of the paths that we have in Toastmasters. So there's 11 paths and they're all a little bit different. So they could be either humor, they could be persuasive influence, team collaboration, leadership. And like today, Hema is into the innovative planning, which is always good to have because planning, I think, is important in everyday life, whether at work or school, even in personal life or, with family. So it's good to have that when you're creating events or anniversaries. So it's a really fun thing to have for sure. So thank you for choosing that path because I haven't really seen it before, and mine is persuasive influence. So you could sort of see the difference a little bit, and I guess we learn from each other and then end up going into maybe each other's paths or someone else's that we thought that was good or that had good projects in it. And if you look in my screen now,
Yeah.
I believe I have this project open. So this is our Basecamp, and it's one of the elective projects in level 4. So depending on how many projects that you did before, and if you're comfortable already, if you've done table topics for very often, this could be a great session for you. And maybe the next person that could do this kind of a Q&A on a live we're doing again with Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, then they could get a credit as well for doing this project. So basically it starts off telling you a little bit about the assignment, requirements. It has the project checklist. The purpose, for example, is to learn about and practice facilitating a question and answer session, which in table topics is more you ask one question to each person in the club depending on how much time we have. But this is sort of, it could be either one-on-one or you can have a few people in the meeting and maybe asking a few different people questions. That could be a similar, and it could also be a panel discussion, which is also in level 5, so next level. Then you can select any topic. So for example, today we chose Toastmaster just because, Hema's new and I'm sort of more knowledgeable, and I think together we can understand some of the projects and be able to get credit for things that we practice. Then after the question and answer session, it's usually 15 to 20 minutes. And then we just use our time to the best way to do this project. And then at the beginning of every project, it'll ask you some questions. So for example, am I comfortable managing time when leading a question and answer session? Then am I comfortable with impromptu speaking? Am I able to recognize the different types of difficult audience members? Am I able to manage difficult questions in front of an audience calmly and without losing control of the discussion? I recognize how this project applies to my life outside of Toastmasters. So in this project, Toastmaster member learns to follow a list of competencies, and which you could practice in this project, which is, for example, answering questions and provide informative, clear, concise answer with confidence, building an impromptu speaking skills, effectively balancing time during presentation. So making sure you're sort of within time frame, and also developing a strategy for responding to challenging questions. Then difficult audience would be, again, like I said earlier, if we have more people involved, then we would see, like, maybe even ask or plant some audiences to give us a little bit of a hard time for us to get comfortable even being interrupted, right? Or having someone that's maybe a little annoying, or they're on the phone, or I think there's a list somewhere also that you can give each person a role and to help you to complete your project. So that's always makes it fun. Then clarity and value. So this opportunity is for your audience to clarify both the general and detailed aspects of your presentation. It also contributes to the value of your speech. And feedback, allowing for questions at the end of a speech, so can provide you with a valuable feedback and audience members about your presentation. You can gain an understanding of how to improve or hone the information you present. For example, with audience asking questions about a particular aspect of your speech, it may indicate that you need to clarify or add more information to that section for future presentations. And for example, when I do my own project and I have a certain speech that requires a question and answer, I usually ask at the end of my answer just to clarify that I did hear what they said, and just to make sure that the person had their question answered, right? Other than that, we would just go on until their question is understood and the answer is understood. Audiences may seek additional information or access to your expertise and knowledge on the topic. You may want to learn something new because feedback from audience members and their unique points of view. And then credibility and rapport. Providing thoughtful answers increases your credibility and builds rapport with your audience, and vice versa, right?
Yep.
So preparing your question and answer session. So there's a lot of resources out there depending on the question and answer session. And what we did today, for example, is we found some questions and we just adjusted it a little bit to the Toastmasters in particular, so that whoever's watching can be a little informed on what's going on and how the projects and Toastmasters International in general feels like and looks like. The research based on demonstration speeches lend themselves well to questions. And then you can also anticipate possible questions. And like I said, you can practice either in your club or visit a club and practice table topics just to be comfortable and to know how to answer a question. And then you can conduct research, develop a list of possible questions you think the audience might ask. When you're finished writing your speech and have crafted a list of possible questions, research and write down the answers. And this is great for newer Toastmasters, right? Because you're still practicing. For example, other Toastmasters might even be already practicing this very often if they have a leadership role or they have a role in the area or district. So depending on, how far or how comfortable they feel, they would probably already have some of those questions and answers in the back of their minds. Then notes are always good, where you can make notes and check facts or remember the point you want to make. You give your answer without reading from your notes to ensure natural quality. And again, when you're starting out, you might want to practice that and then even perhaps take a video or an audio of yourself just to see how it goes. And once you start hearing that and seeing what you want to improve, then you'll be comfortable answering it all. So rehearsing and managing time. Rehearsing preparation is the best strategy for dealing with questions. So again, like for me, example, I go to very often to clubs. I'm also a club coach, and I get to practice that a lot there. And so I usually like to have audience that I'm ready for. This can also be done at work or school with colleagues and classmates. Presenting your speech and allowing time for questions. So for example, practicing time is really good because sometimes it might be too short and sometimes it might be too long. So depending on how you are, you might either want to add a minute or so, or you might want to give yourself a minute and take away a minute to make sure, like if you do go over, it's still within the time. Then your practice audience may be able to bring questions to your attention that you didn't anticipate, which is always fun. So we always try to keep it sort of lighthearted and do our best. Then managing time, practicing will give you a clear view of how much time you need for both the speeches and the question and answer session. In the assignment for this project, the organization of your time is up to you. In other settings, the time for the speech and question and answer session may be determined by the group organizing the presentation. Always check time constraints and requirements in advance. So for example, if it's an event, you might want to see how much time either they give you or you would know how much time to give them. And that way it could go really well into the agenda, right? Because we do make agendas pretty often. So that way we sort of know where we stand, and even knowing what time you start is great. That way you can grab an extra water and grab yourself something to prepare yourself to do that. Before the presentation, ensure your audience knows what question, like that question and answer will follow your speech. Setting the expectation can encourage audience members to formulate questions as they listen to your presentation. It may also prevent interruptions during your speech if the audience knows that the time has been set aside for questions. After the presentation, at the conclusion of your speech, summarize what you covered. A quick review refreshes audiences, members' memories, and may remind them of questions. Ask them to limit questions to the topic of your presentation. So this is one of my pet peeves that I had to practice to put into my speeches, because I just like to, I'm used to just talking casually. And when you talk casually, you don't always repeat what you said, right? I mean, if people understood, they will nod, and if they didn't, they would ask you a question, right? So giving presentations and speech is a bit different. That's why in Toastmasters, it's so interesting to see the difference, right? That you kind of always ready for any kind of question. At the conclusion of your speech, summarize what you covered. A quick review refreshes audiences, members' memories. So again, that's good to remember. And then if you choose, you can encourage audience members with questions beyond the scope of your speech to stay after the question and answer session and speak to you individually. So like we are doing today, we're doing a live on YouTube, and we have that live chat on the side. So of course, if there's some audience, then they can ask us questions on there. And we can either go back and forth from the chat or use our prepared questions, right, Hema?
Yeah, sure.
Thumbs up. So and then you may want to provide the audience with an email address. So for example, our email address is urtoastmasters@gmail.com, where you can further contact us if you'd like. urtoastmasters@gmail.com. And we will put that also in the chat. There we go. In the bottom of YouTube. So if so prompt questions. If audience members are hesitant to ask questions, start the session by raising one or more questions that you anticipate while preparing your presentation. You can prompt the audience by saying, here's a question you may be wondering about, or I'm often asked about this. So as you see, the project has a really good explanation of how to do the project. So back in the traditional way, we had the books, and we just used to use the books to read all of our notes. And you can choose the printed options, but honestly, like even these options are printable. So it's great to have this, whether you want to print it or not. And there's really lots of helpful videos and things for you to have to see how other sessions have gone before, and maybe use some of the things that you like there to use that for your question and answer. So really, we already covered the clarification part, and I've had that, I think, last club that I went to, and they asked me, can you rephrase the question, because maybe it was too general, or not everyone understands it the same way. And we are Toastmasters International, which means that we have all different kinds of languages and cultures, which is beautiful. So please remember to just, if you're wondering, just ask for clarification. And again, when you have an answer, when you do not have an answer, what we use sometimes is sort of redirect either the question or the answer, so that you still answer, but in a comfortable way to yourself and a comfortable way to the audience, being honest and knowledgeable when you don't have an answer. Invite the questioners to remain at the close of the meeting. At that time, you can either locate the information the person needs, or invite them to contact you via email or other form of communication so that they can respond. And even responding with an answer saying, yes, I will find that out for you, or we can ask them more of advanced, or a member knowledgeable in that particular area. So then during the question and answer session, you might want to take notes of the questions you are unable to answer, so you can go back and practice those. Also, if you need to follow up and you are not providing your contact information to the audience, invite the participant to leave her contact with you. And you can also have a book going around with their name and email. And if there's some information, they can put a comment, I would like information on this, and then you can always email them with that particular information. There's a lot of beautiful resources on Toastmasters International. And inform the participants when you expect to be able to provide an answer and honor the timeline you set. Difficult audience members. There's actually a project on that. So this is sort of fun, and it's sort of nerve-wracking at the same time. But again, you learn yourself and you learn the audience, and you can understand that they're not always going to be perfect, right? And we're not always perfect. So just practicing what you've learned and being patient helps a lot. And we learned that so much in our clubs. The two types that pose the greatest challenge are the talker and the arguer. And like I said, it's an elective project, so it says that right there, in which you can also review. So if you think you might want to be ready for that, or you think that might happen, or that you already have someone like that in your club, or a place that you're doing presentation for, you might want to go and definitely look into that. So there's some examples as well. So the talker comments too often and for too long dominated the discussion. And closing the question and answer session after answering the final questions, and with a brief summary of your presentation, and then stay after the presentation to answer any additional questions. You may also provide the contact, which you already did below, taking the time to evaluate the question and answer session as you would any speech. Make note of your successes and consider any areas you can improve for the next time.
There are times when a speech will be followed by a question and answer session.
Do you hear that sound, Hema?
Yeah.
Let's watch it for a minute.
This offers a chance to share more information and also receive feedback. The following clips show an effective Q&A. As you watch, focus on the strategies used rather than the setting. Keep in mind that you will be conducting your own question and answer session as part of your assignment for this project. Pay close attention to how the speaker presents information, manages time, and handles audience interaction.
Today, we've discussed the fear of public speaking and why it affects so many people. We've also talked about issues at the root of this fear and how people can overcome it. Let's take a few minutes to answer any questions you may have. Yes, in the second row.
Can fear of public speaking ever really go away? Are most speakers just working through fear, pretending to be confident?
Thank you. The question is, does the fear of public speaking ever go away, or are most speakers pretending to be confident? Even professionals who give hundreds of speeches sometimes deal with nervousness and fear. Sometimes
The speaker saved time at the end for Q&A. At the end of the presentation, she summarized the key points of her speech before asking for questions. She listened carefully and repeated the question for clarity. She paused briefly before answering to gather her thoughts and to draw the attention of the rest of the audience. Someone else has a question. Let's see how the speaker answers.
I think your premise that we can overcome our fear of public speaking by thinking differently is flawed. Fear is a deeply ingrained part of our psychology, and positive thinking won't change that. I don't find this helpful at all.
Thank you for sharing your point of view. While I agree that just thinking differently won't change our deep fears, it is a good place to begin. Even more important is the role that practice plays in helping us become confident speakers.
There are times when audience members will disagree with key points in your presentation. In this case, when the question was argumentative, the speaker addressed the person in a professional manner, acknowledging her contribution. She paraphrased the objection in a clear way. She agreed that the point was valid, but also reinforced her own position. This next question is a tough one. Let's see how the speaker handles it.
I see our time for Q&A is almost up. Let's take one more question. You in the back.
You said that many people identify public speaking as their greatest fear. I'm curious, how many people actually admit that this fear affects their lives?
To make sure I understand, are you talking about personally or professionally?
I was thinking of work. How many people admit that this fear keeps them from seeking leadership roles?
Thanks. I'm glad you asked that. I don't have this information with me today. However, research on this does exist. If you and anyone else who is interested give me your email addresses, I'll send you what I have.
The speaker kept track of time and let the audience know when the Q&A was almost over. When the speaker didn't have the answer to a question, she stayed positive and asked a follow-up question to help further clarify. She admitted she didn't have the answer, and importantly, she showed interest and promised to send more information. Let's see how the speaker ends the session.
I wish I had more time to spend with you today. As you leave, remember that you can begin to overcome your fear of public speaking by repeatedly practicing, removing thoughts of self-doubt, and learning relaxation techniques. I hope that these tips will help you on your journey to become a more confident speaker. Thanks again for your participation. I'll be here for a few minutes to answer any questions you may have. You can also find me on social media. Feel free to send me questions at any time.
The speaker concluded by reviewing the key points of the presentation. She thanked the audience and provided them with contact information. She invited people to stay after if they had further questions. While every situation is different, these tips will help you be productive and successful in your question and answer sessions.
Thank you for that, TI. This reviewed and applied, and practicing that is great. And I think reminding yourself and giving yourself time too is great. That way, I think you're ready for any kind of question or answer.
Well,
I think, yeah, I'm ready for Hema to ask me a question.
yay. Yeah, let's start our question and answer session then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So in summary, today we learned about the question and answer project and how it is able to be conducted with some practice and confidence. Go ahead, Hema.
Yeah. So thanks, Martha. So my questions, well, I think we'll just have 2 minutes to answer my question. Okay, I'll say my question then. How can I be a Toastmasters table topic master? So I'll repeat the question for you. How can I be a Toastmasters table topic master? Here you go.
Thanks, Hema. That's a great question. How can you be a table topics master? Well, as I've mentioned before, going to attending clubs and going there to practice speaking and practice, networking is a great place to start. And like I said earlier, Toastmasters has many resources. So if I just share my screen quickly, we actually have a page on Toastmasters International, which is dedicated to the club roles. And in each club, in each one, you can find the explanation of the role and basic things you might need for that role. So in this list, as you can see, it's called Topics Master. Taking on this role improved organization skills, time management, and facilitation skills. It explains what is required of you. Also, it is explained what is required from the audience. And there's even a checklist and a script on the bottom and a log where you can write things for that role. There is a few lists, if you look around, that can help you understand what kind of questions there are being asked. And then you're able to be ready for any kind of question. And table topics helps in work a lot, because when you're going to an interview or something, if you're getting asked something in a class, when you're going to a class. So I think it's a great role to practice. And I guess that's the best way to do it, is to put it in practice and check the resources. So back to you, Emma.
Yeah. Thank you, Martha, for answering the question. Yeah, I think it really helped me that you have showed it in clearly that how we can, search for the specific role and all. That's really helpful, actually. Yeah, thank you. So, is there any questions?
Is that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. Okay, we can do the next one.
Yeah. The next one is, what better way to have speaker initialize the structure of a speech and deliver a powerful message? What better way to have speakers initialize the structure of a speech and deliver a powerful message? I'll just make it easy for you. So if anyone is new to speaking and all, so how do they need to structure their speech so that their message can be much more powerful to deliver to others?
Thank you, Emma.
I think you'll get that.
Yes. And the answer is, again, is in Toastmasters International. So as I mentioned before, in every project, there is resources, either video or tips, and you can read that over a few times as well to help yourself to understand that and construct a speech. Practicing even in front of a mirror and a camera or a voice is really a great way. That I also found that seeing YouTube videos is really great, because so many Toastmasters out there, they're practicing their skills either in lives or in actual demo video or a project video. And there's projects for that as well, which is great. And there's resources for each project and each pathways on there. And also asking your fellow members that have done either the path or they understand that project is a great place. You can either talk to your mentor or practice with them, or you can just ask them a question on what makes you most nervous, or what is some of your strength in your speech, in your position, so that you can use those strengths to best use it in your next speech or project. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, Martha. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, back to you.
Yeah. My next one is not related to Toastmasters, but I think it might help me more. So, who inspired you to come into the Toastmasters and all? I mean, what made you come to Toastmasters and who inspired you?
Thank you, Emma. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it's fun answer because it's a different answer from a different person. It's so interesting how people got into Toastmasters. And my story goes back to probably the 2000s, where I was living in BC, in Vancouver, and I understood that there is Toastmasters clubs. And I just wasn't necessarily finding a particular one. And so I believe that when you're ready, the teacher will come. So when I moved in 2015 to Regina, Saskatchewan, I actually had someone, my mother-in-law, to suggest to visit a club because she was attending one. So having that sort of someone suggesting it and trying it with them was super nice. And so then I decided, yeah, I will actually try it. And of course, at the first meeting, I'm pretty sure it was the first meeting that I knew that this was something that I would love and I would like to improve myself on. And I pretty much signed up probably the next meeting the next week, and I was all into it. So I appreciated that she brought me in, and that's a part of my story. Well, that's my story for how I got in and how I was, I guess the time was right, to do that. And I'm so happy I did. And the only thing is I wish I went in earlier. But I'm still, glad that I did happen when it happened. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, Martha, it did answer my question, and I'm really happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Back to you. We can close.
Yeah, it's fun and informative. This session was.
Great. I'm so happy that you were a part of it. And
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you as a new member, and just being very involved and practicing your skills. I think that'll make you a great Toastmaster along the way and a great person in so many ways. And I just keep doing what you're doing. And I'm happy that you're getting to know the other levels and projects. And it will help you with your growth and confidence as well. So I think we're going to check the chat quickly, and then we could probably close off this live on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I see that so far we are so good. So that wasn't many questions. And just a reminder to everyone that this will be on YouTube. So remember, if there's a question that you have after the live, please, ask us in the chat or send it to that email. And we're hoping that you visit our club. We meet Thursdays at 12 p.m. CST. And this is online nowadays because we're not able to meet in person. But of course, you can visit us from, any province, any country. So we are very happy and welcome you to visit our club. So we hope that you have a great day.
Yeah, we'll be happy to have you all. Have a great day.
See you.